Hello, my name is Reverend Orresta Paddock. I'm a student in the Pastoral Counseling and Chaplaincy Department in the Master's of Divinity program at Cherry Hill Seminary, and today I'm going to be presenting to you my presentation on consecration and purification rites. What is consecration? Consecration is the act by which a person or thing is separated from secular or profane use and dedicated permanently to the sacred by prayers, rites, and ceremonies. This thing that can be consecrated can be anything as small and common as communion foods or oils and holy water, and can also be as large as entire sacred spaces. This can be anything from an altar to an entire temple and church. The evolution of consecration is actually kind of interesting. When we think of the word consecration, many of us just think of a blessing. However, the act of consecration is different from other rites such as blessings, benedictions, or dedications, because originally it was thought that it created an innate connection that was permanent, and it couldn't be reversed, and it couldn't be repeated on this same object twice. However, again, as it began to evolve through different practices, it became more closely tied to what is known as a purification rite, seen in other religious practices, and that sense of permanence and irreversibility kind of shifted and faded a bit. What are purification rites? They are defined as any ceremonial acts or customs employed in an attempt to reestablish lost purity or to establish a higher degree of purity and connection to the sacred realm. These are found in all known cultures and religions, and they all contain some form of purification ritual. These can be anything as simple as washing one's hands or body, whether as mundane as just rinsing them or as elaborate as an entire bathing ceremony. Or these can be incredibly elaborate and have various different purification elements. You can have it started with a bathing and then an anointment of oils and burning of incense and combing of hair to remove miasma. They can be quite elaborate, leading up everything up until sacrifice as well. So the main differences between consecration and purification rites are that consecration was originally tied and heavily associated with Catholicism and Judaism primarily. Once again, it was an intimate transmutation of the essence of a thing, which was irreversible and unrepeatable, and that was what made it consecrated and made it blessed with that divine or sacred energy. These were also often tied to specific rituals. Again, we see this especially within the Catholic Church, such as the consecration of the Eucharist, wherein the bread and wine are turned into the body and blood of Christ. Purification rites span across multiple cultures and religions. I think a really interesting note here is that this does mean that it's not only tied to religious experience, but can also be just a cultural spirituality as well, and not following any particular dogma. A purification rite also has importance of relation to the sacred and transcendental realm, as well as social and cultural realms. There are different purifying means within society and culture, not just within that attempt to touch sacred or transcendental. These can be, once again, incredibly diverse, everything from just cleansing your hands or all the way up until animal sacrifice, or pretend human sacrifice, wherein they would take the negative energies from something, purifying that object, and then ritually killed in order to remove that negative energy. These were very commonly called scapegoats within that kind of facet. However, many people nowadays consider consecration to be a purification rite in and of its own, and the term consecration has been used as the common vernacular for many different purification rites, since it's more widely known what consecration entails versus what a purification rite entails. Also, especially within Western cultures, we move more towards using consecration versus purification rites, as purification rites tended to have more heavy topics such as induced vomiting, self-inflicted pain, and once again, everything up until animal sacrifice, or even, again, pretend human sacrifice. While we've shifted away from that kind of a narrative, we've adapted more that term consecration within different religious practices and not just within Catholicism and Judaism. tools of consecration and purification, there are many that are used across a variety of different cultures. These can be anything, once again, as simple as just water. These can be different sources, and different cultures have importance on different sources, whether that's spring or it is holy water or it is ocean water. They all have different kinds of importance to different cultures. These can be things such as incense or other burning herbs. Anything from anointing oils. Many different tools are used. So I'm going to go over a couple of those here. So in Christianity and Catholicism, I think the obvious answer is that we see a lot of the use of holy water and a lot of different rites of purification and different consecrations. Especially within things such as baptisms and christenings, we see the use of holy water. Within altars atop Catholic altars, they'll sprinkle holy water in order to bless the space once again and kind of remove any built up negative energy that is there. Hinduism, there is a ritual, and I apologize for my pronunciation ahead of time, called the Kumbhabhishekam, which is a consecration ceremony that happens once every 12 years that entails sprinkling of water and then a fire altar ceremony and the offering of words. And then it is ultimately closed out with a closing ceremony. So once again, this is an example of a more complex consecration. It's used to help cleanse a space after a certain amount of time, and it was said that if you were not directly partaking in the Kumbhabhishekam, it was proper to go and observe it, as it would give you a lot of positive energy within your life and help you with your general transition. In Hellenismos, we see a denoting of what is considered sacred energy through a physical existence. For example, if you can see on the far left, kind of halfway up the hill, and on the far right side of this temple, you'll see that stone wall. Typically, that's called a temenos, and that is where you would see that line of sacred energy within the temple and human energy on the other side. And that's kind of the place where it was denoted that edge of humanity and sacred kind of split, and everything within the temenos was considered to be divinely protected with that sacred transcendental energy. Why I think that this is important form of energy work to understand is that, just like many other forms of energy work, it is a manipulation of the physical presence. And I think the Hellenismos, at least in my own mind, does a really good job of kind of showing how physical that energy manipulation can be. There's a border that comes up maybe 3 feet, and in many of them has crumbled over time, but come about 3 feet, and that's the only physical thing that we see. But in Hellenismos, that barrier of sacred and humanity shoots all the way up into the heavens. Romans would use what was called a litus, or a curved wand that they would carve directly through the heavens down. And anything within the box that they carved was considered that sacred energy work. So I think that that's just a really interesting form of energy work that can be used and passed down through different generations. Thank you again for your time today, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.